Good morning, rise in freedom. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. My name is Justin Peterson, and I am your guest host this week. My little brother Austin is away on a well-deserved 2-week vacation in Japan. So I will be filling in until tomorrow. This is where Austin would play the wah wah sound on his stream deck. And so I will only be here until tomorrow, but I have had a great time being with you all this week. It's Thursday, March 30th, and I'm glad to see ya. Thanks so much for coming. Hope you guys are having a great week this week. Good to see you all. I can't see your bright, shining faces, but I'm imagining in my mind, and they're beautiful. I think I got maybe 3 hours of sleep last night. Insomnia is a little biatch, and there's a really great philosopher, Alain de Botton, who teaches and leads the School of Life. If you're into like philosophy and like self-knowledge and really just a cool repertoire of really neat products and stuff, the School of Life is amazing. They're centered in London. But Alain de Botton said that insomnia is the mind's revenge for all the thoughts that we didn't have during the day. So I think that is absolutely the best description of insomnia that has ever been made, because it feels like that. You are awake, and then your mind is just kind of going, oh, remember that time in high school when you did this thing? Or remember that one time when you said this thing? Or remember when you didn't do that thing? And your mind just comes in and like assaults you for no reason, and reminds you of all your winnings, but mostly all of your failings in life. And it's like, why am I having an existential crisis at 3 a.m. in the morning? I just want to sleep. So I think when I get into those situations, I just try to breathe. That's my strategy. I try to breathe. Like, I don't know if y'all do meditation, but I try to do meditation once in a while. It's very helpful, actually. And you just sort of notice your breathing, and you kind of get calmed down, and then eventually I can get back to sleep. I find what doesn't work for me, though, when I have insomnia is try not to get angry. Because I get so angry when I can't sleep, because I'm like, I should be sleeping. And then that just makes it worse, because then your morning energy gets, or your adrenaline and everything kind of gets all hyped up, and your blood pressure starts to rise, and then you're really awake. So yeah, sometimes I'll put on like really quiet music in the morning. So anyway, good to see you all here. I see Joni Rankin's here. I see Caleb Vanderfelt is here. Kermota Bear is here. Michael Nipp is here. Good morning. Camellia. Andy Opperman is here. Chris Morrill is here. Anna Marie is here. Mad Bomb is here. Quest Fanning is here. The gang's all here. Hey, I think my mother used to sing a song like that. Hail, hail, the gang's all here, or something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, hope you guys are having a great Thursday. Hope the coffee is hot, and hope everything is going well in your lives. So grateful to have you. Austin's always like, hey, shout out my store. So, hey, if you have a chance, check out the AP for Liberty shop, where they sell lots of cool Liberty merchandise. I did buy a t-shirt last week, and it's coming. I got the alert. I thought, how's Austin going to deliver me a shirt in Japan? But, he's got systems. He's got systems, and he's got strategies. That's all I'm saying. It's a thing. Oh, Chris Morrill says it's a sad day. He's selling his Mustang to his niece. Oh, no. How long have you had this Mustang? Oh, there's so many memories in cars, right? I mean, that's so real. Well, I hope everything goes okay with that. All right. So, our top story today is the Restrict Act, which we've all kind of been hearing about, this whole TikTok ban and ban TikTok and da-da-da-da-da-da. So I have done some research on this TikTok ban. It turns out it's kind of a Trojan horse, and turns out it's really basically the Patriot Act 2.0. So I just wanted to share some of the information that I've been doing on research on this. This is from the Twitter sphere. This is from the Mises Caucus. Let me see if I can pull this over. I'm looking at this and I'm just trying to figure out the browser situation. But this is the Restrict Act. So this is not just limited to TikTok. Of course we think, oh, TikTok bad. But you guys know as well as I do. This is a reminder, and I don't think I'm preaching to the choir here. no government wants you to really be free at the end of the day, you know? And the eternal price of liberty, the price of liberty is eternal vengeance. I almost messed that line up. Actually, I have this line. I found it by this guy named Wendell Phillips, and he was writing in 1852. Check this out. This is a great quote. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. Power is ever stealing from the many to the few. The manna of popular liberty must be gathered each day, or it is rotten. The living sap of today outgrows the dead rind of yesterday. The hand entrusted with power becomes, either from human depravity or esprit de corps, which is a French term which means like communal spirit or spirit of the group, the necessary enemy of the people. Only by continued oversight can the Democrat in office be prevented from hardening into a despot. Only by uninterrupted agitation can a people be sufficiently awake to principle, not to let liberty be smothered in material prosperity. Ooh, isn't that good? I just feel like in the culture we live in right now, we're sort of in a bread and circuses culture, right? So if you don't know anything about the end of the Roman Empire, one of the things that they tried to do to placate the masses was to give them bread, which was basically to give them food, and then circuses, which was to entertain them. Because if people were fed and entertained, they basically went back to sleep and didn't really participate in the governance of how the empire was crumbling around them. You didn't know you were going to get some hard takes in here. Austin's always like, Justin, you can't talk. You gotta temper. I'm like, no, we're going to go highbrow or we're going to die. So yeah, this act though, this Restrict Act is again, just a reminder that the government doesn't, they think they care about you. No, it gives the government authority over all forms of communication, domestic or abroad, and grants powers to, quote, enforce any mitigation measure to address any risk to national security now and in any potential future transaction. Again, here from the bill, it says here, let's see, let me get into the sentence. The Secretary, in consultation with the relevant executive departments and agency lead heads, is authorized to and shall take action to identify, deter, disrupt, prevent, prohibit, investigate, or otherwise mitigate, including by negotiating, entering into, or, here we go, imposing and enforcing any mitigation measure to address any risk arising from any covered transaction by any person or with respect to any property subject to the jurisdiction of the United States that the Secretary determines. Going on here, the timing. The term covered transaction includes a current, past, or potential future transaction. So what happens if you're designated a national security threat? Can they access I think they meant to say data or transactions of yours to confirm it? Everything. And notice here that there's a preemptive attack on quantum encryption as well. So what is it? What's included here? Software, hardware, wireless local networks, mobile networks, satellite payloads, satellite operations and control, cable access points, wireline access points, core networking systems, long, short, and backhaul networks, or edge computer platforms, internet hosting services, cloud-based or distributed computing and data storage, machine learning, and all of that razzmatazz, managed services and content delivery services, desktop applications, mobile applications on your phone, gaming applications, right? Payment applications, so things like Venmo or Stripe or different things like that, web-based applications or information and communications technology products and services integral to artificial intelligence and machine learning, so ChatGPT, right? Quantum key distribution. I won't read all this. Y'all see this, right? So this is it here. It also allows the Director of National Intelligence and the Secretary of Commerce the authority to universally designate new foreign, quote unquote, foreign adversaries without notifying Congress, and a 15-day window to notify the president. It also requires joint resolution of Congress to overturn. Isn't that nice? So yeah, here is some more language from the bill. Good times, right? So if you recall from before here, foreign individuals can now also be U.S. citizens that are deemed a national security threat. So again, they can pin it on you. Once designated, the bill grants authority to enforce any action deemed necessary to mitigate the threat with no due process and few limits on punishments. So here is author. In general, the secretary may issue guidance, including advisory opinions, list of foreign persons. They can just make a list of foreign persons that may be subject to prohibitions or restrictions. Yeah, this is like George Orwell stuff. I mean, this is crazy. Yeah, permitted activities. Here's what's permitted. They can inspect, search, detain, seize, or impose temporary denial orders with respect to items in any form or conveyances on which it is believed that there are items that have been or are being or are about to be imported into the United States in violation of this act or any other applicable federal law. Require, inspect, and obtain books. This is what really issues me out. Books, records, and any other information from any person subject to the provisions of this act. Here's the thing. Way back, maybe a year or two ago, I have a dear friend of mine who told me, she said, I'm going to start buying my books, real books. I'm going to stop buying Kindle books. I'm going to start buying digital books, because she says, I feel like they're going to reach a point where they're going to start to censor books, and you're not going to be able to read certain non-state approved books. So, reading this, article here too, I'm like, oh my God, like, here it is, right? Here it is. Administer oaths or affirmations and by subpoena require any person to appear and testify or to appear and produce books, writings. I mean, yeah. Again, just some more language from the bill. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so no person may conspire or act in concert with one or more or other person in any manner for any purpose to bring about to do any act that constitutes a violation of any regulation, order, blah, 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 blah. So after the federal government has detained you, okay, with due process to mitigate the immediate threat you pose, what kind of punishments await you in court? $1 million fine, 20 years in prison, and forfeiture of everything that you own. Wow. This is crazy pants. Yeah. So any property, real or personal, tangible or intangible, used or intended to be used in any manner to commit or facilitate a violation or attempt a violation. Here's the thing. Everything I saw I needed to learn, everything I learned, let me backtrack. Everything I learned about tyranny, I learned during COVID. And I was like, wow, give people an inch and they will take a mile. And if we don't think, listen, everything I saw done to people who were quote unquote anti-vax, okay, by the government was absolutely an eye-opening experience for me to see, wow, this is wrong. We don't do this in the United States of America. And this is, again, to me, just another enlargement of this sort of tyranny, absolute tyranny. This act also grants unlimited hiring power to positions of enforcement, unlimited funds with little or no review, and immunity to FOIA, which is the Freedom of Information Act. So, yeah, every attack. Well, basically what this does is this formalizes everything that was really in the Twitter files. And it creates an unquestionable KGB in the United States of America. Every attack, it seems, on TikTok has been a smokescreen for all of this. This really is the Patriot Act on steroids. This is the government accessing all of your devices, everything that you do. This was hilarious, actually. I don't know if you all saw this, but last night, Jesse Waters asked Senator Lindsey Graham, I'm going to try to do my Southern accent, Senator Lindsey Graham, if he actually read a key bill that he co-sponsored, which was, again, this Restrict Act. If this doesn't tell you how government is run, oh my gosh. So Fox News host Jesse Waters grilled Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. Did the United States Senate just say we are going to protect you from China by spying on you? Let's try to get some answers out of Senator Lindsey Graham, who supports this and is here now. Waters and then Graham came on and said, "You've got to be kidding me, Senator. Did you read this?" The White House announced that it would support the restricting the emergence of security threats that risk, you got to love these names, right? Risk Information and Communications Technology Restrict Act. Guess what's getting restricted, folks? You, which targets the technology from Cuba, Iran, North Korea, Russia, China, and Venezuela. I don't think I support the Restrict Act, Graham told Waters. You don't support this, Waters asked, because you were named as one of the supporters, because this is garbage. Graham co-sponsored the Restrict Act on Monday, according to Congress, joining 20 other senators. Many conservatives criticized the legislation over the potential to be used against American citizens. Duh. Here's the problem. That's actually, high level analytical verbiage right there. Here's the problem as I see it. China is the parent company of TikTok, and my nieces like TikTok, Graham said. I don't mind them using TikTok. I just don't want the Chinese government to seize all their data and manipulate the information America sees for political purposes. He's such a Southern belle. China is helping drug cartels in Mexico. China is not a friend. Yeah. Here's how it feels like Washington is achieved. These politicians are avatars. They do nothing. Everything that is done by the administrative staff that is underneath them. All of the bureaucracy, the administrative staff. These are the people that are doing all of these works and and pushing all of this stuff. I think the people that are elected is just nuts. And thank you. Graham is gayer than Justin. Honey, let me just tell you. He put Scarlett O'Hara to shame. A fiddle-de-dee, I do declare. Yeah, so this is absolutely vile. This is basically a uniparty scam. Here is, let me see, I grabbed this too. This is a Substack. Excuse me, American Mission. And this is really good because it goes through sort of all of the, sorry for the ad there. It didn't do that on my laptop. Stop. But yeah, it's sort of just as, again, it's a rehashing of a lot of the stuff. It's codifying the government spying of social media, of what was exposed by the Twitter files. It's not about protecting your data, giving you control over your privacy. It has nothing to do with children. Isn't it funny? We're going to wrap the totalitarianism of our country in the children. Oh, it's for the kids. Just do it for the kids. It has nothing to do with our children. For example, it does nothing about YouTube Kids. Regulation would be done by high-powered entities whose people are non-elected. Well, doesn't that sound like something we know? Let me think. The NIH, maybe? The FDA? I don't know. There's other bureaucracies. Rings a bell. They are only accountable to the dictator-type administrations. This is not about data being sold to foreign entities or protecting our children. This is not about the CCP spying on us. That's already being done by Google. And our phones are already being used as 24/7 listening devices. Listen, Austin said this, I think last week. Your phone is already connected to spying. You're being spied on already. You have a phone, you're getting spied on. The central governance attempt is a global initiative. It is starting here in the United States. WEF? Well, look, the WEF is pushing to regulate all AI. The deadline for central global control is 2030. And of course, then they give some background here. If this legislation is killed, be alert. You will find amendments in other bills. For example, see the amendments that were thrown into this House bill, which is H.R. 5, the Parents' Bill of Rights Act. Our government already underhandedly got this through, the Foreign Malign Influence Center. The FMIC quietly opened its doors in September 22. Its mission is identical to DHS Disinformation Governance Board. FMIC mission is to counter malign influence that seeks to influence public opinion and behavior. Wow. Y'all, I feel like I gotta catch my breath. Yeah, so again, here's another, just a tweet, just the same thing. This Twitter user is saying, if this bill gets passed, we're going to lose almost every privacy we have. The attached screenshots highlight only a few of my concerns with this bill. Any software, hardware, or any other product or service integral to the telecommunications products and services with over 1 million users would now be at the government's disposal to review, prosecute, and take possession of. They can, quote unquote, review any and all of your personal information without even notifying you that they are doing so. They can ban any game, application, or thing they deem fit if it, quote, poses a risk. Okay, and I have another article here about VPN. So if you stream, if you go online, you'll always see people doing commercials and going, oh, NordVPN is sponsoring this, whatever. Well, guess what? A VPN, if you get caught using a VPN under this particular bill, you will face up to 20 years in prison and or up to that $1 million fine. So you can't evade it, right? So even being able to evade it through like a VPN, you can't do that either. And Reason magazine has written here again, could the Restrict Act criminalize the use of VPNs? The answer, my friends, is yes. Yes, it absolutely would. The act is still insanely far-reaching. We got to get rid of this bill. It's still far-reaching and could have a huge range of deleterious effects, even if it doesn't criminalize people using a VPN to access TikTok. Yeah. So this is very concerning. And again, we all should very much be alert to this. Yeah, and it just staggers me. Does it stagger me? Does it really stagger me that the people that have sponsored this bill don't know what's in the bill? Andy Opperman says, I was in a good mood too. I know, I'm sorry. I feel like my shows are so black pilly. You know, I'm like, listen, if I was here, all I would do the entire hour is I would talk about opera, musical theater, the Titanic, historical classic movies, and I don't know, philosophy or something. It would be like, everyone would go, oh, this is not how I want to wake up. So I apologize for the black pill. But yeah, that's great. It's another day in America. Wake up. Wake up, America. Wake up. So yeah, I've just been doing this, and I feel like now that I've seen this, oof, you know, it's just always the pork, right? And the stuff that they put in there. So yeah, we've just got to figure out a way. Call your senators, call your representatives, and be like, no, do not do this. This is not what we should be doing in our country. So anyway, yeah, isn't this great? So, all right. So real quick, let's see, 8:22. I got a little bit of time here. I just wanted to move on this. Oh, more black pilling. Sorry. Oh, this is a brand new bill. Guess where it's from? California, here we come, right back where we started from. California has moved ahead. Let me just make sure my screen is sharing here. Yes, it is. With state-sanctioned kidnapping bill that would allow therapists to take children from their families without notice or provocation. Your children belong to us. You know, it's more of that narrative, right? Like as we're seeing it with schools and different things, that parents don't know things, and parents are being, you know, slowly separated from their children. And in California, now legally they can be separated from their children. A child as young as 12 in a residential shelter facility without parental knowledge or consent, and without there being any, now this is the clincher, without being any prior allegations of incest or child abuse. Now here, if something's going on in a home, Child Protective Services should absolutely come in and remove that child. But this is without those sort of safeguards in place. There's nothing here. It literally is state-sanctioned kidnapping. An example of the caliber of counselors, okay, who decide if a 12-year-old comes home from school is Kenna Cook, who has access to the kids at Davis Unified School District. She held a BDSM school called Slapsgiving. She authored blogs. Am I going to literally read this on freaking stream right now? She authored blogs. How to be a better butt slut. Yeah, you know, it's great. It's great. You know, it's the dog at the table with the fire and the coffee. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. Kenna Cook described in a Facebook post as a pansexual, kink and polyamory friendly, fierce femme, and sex positive parent. She's also a community health worker and sex ed teacher for Communicare Health Centers, which offers affirming services for YOLO counties, the LGBTQ plus community. One such service is the Free Binder Project, promoted to girls aged 12 to 26 in the YOLO County region. Adolescent girls seeking to flatten their chests using one of the dangerous chest compression devices provided by the services are assured that the binder will be mailed discreetly to their home or a safe location for pickup. Like in the 80s with porn, remember? Oh, that was so fun. I was extremely disturbed by Councilwoman Wendy Carrillo's disingenuous statement that there was bipartisan support for her bill 10 years ago. The Democrats tried and failed 10 years ago to pass a bill that gave mental health counselors power to send a child to a residential facility without a claim of abuse or serious harm to the child. The 2010 bill that was done, you know, obviously back then, was signed into law, required those minimum claims, right? There had to be a claim of abuse here. Not one council person questioned her about that fact. Then the committee voted 7-2 in favor of the bill. They're coming for your children. They're coming for your children. Hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husbands, because they're taking everybody up in here. So not cute. But again, what do we expect from communism, right? What do we expect? Here we are. Here we are. I need to take a break. I need to calm down. I'm going to come back. I've got some other things. COVID is over, allegedly. Here's some really cool news. A teenager used the internet to discover an ancient Mayan city. So we'll cover a little bit of that when I come back. And then I'll talk a little bit about the Motte and Bailey fallacy or doctrine as it's espoused currently online. I want you guys to be forewarned and forearmed to this dishonest way of arguing in the online Twitter sphere, online blogosphere, so you can call that stuff out. Kind of like we did with Darvo yesterday. When you see Darvo, if you see Darvo, say Darvo, right? So I'm gonna take a little break here. I want y'all to drink some coffee, mill around a little bit, and I will see you very shortly after the break. Talk to you soon.
Were you exposed to hazardous materials while serving in the military and have an illness or condition as a result?
If so, you may be eligible for VA benefits and services.
Whether you need health care or want to file a disability compensation claim related to military exposures, VA is here to help.
Visit va.gov/military-exposures to learn more and apply today.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. Of our first president's flintlock pistol, you have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
Conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
If I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors, what would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be.
There is no typical firefighter.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist! Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins!
Good morning, Rise in Freedom. It's me, your guest host, Justin Peterson this week. I'm filling in for my little brother, Austin. He's away for the next couple weeks with his beautiful wife, Steffi. They are having a great time in Japan. I'm getting gorgeous pictures. Austin looks well, happy. They're doing tea service over there. They're going to cool shops. They're shopping. They're walking around without their shoes on, because that's what you do in Japan. You take your shoes off when you go inside the house. That was something my mom's mom, my grandma, used to always require us to do when we came in the house. Take your shoes off. So that was very Japanese. So they're having a good time, getting lots of pictures. I'm grateful to be here with you. Here we go. We are in it to win it. I'm pushing all the buttons over here, making things happen. Feeling a little bit more confident as I do this, slowly over time. The first couple days of this were, a little white knuckly as I was trying this out over here. First day I was literally petrified, but like I said, I think that's normal. Anytime you do something new, you get a little skittish around it. So anyway, here we are. Want to let y'all know, hey, COVID's over. The Senate on Wednesday passed a GOP-led resolution that would end the COVID-19 national emergency that's been in place since 2020. And the measure passed the upper chamber 68-23. So on Wednesday, Biden said he would sign it. So it looks like it's going to be over. Can't you feel a brand new day? Oh my gosh, 5 points if you can identify that musical. We should do that. I should have musical identification. For those of you who don't know, that's The Wiz. All right. So the national emergency, though, is different from the public health emergency, though the White House is going to end both of those on May 11th. So mark your calendars today. Buy your champagne. Take off your masks. It's over. Why? Because we're finally we're Big Daddy says it's over. So it's over. It's over. Under federal law, Congress has the power to ask for periodic votes to terminate a national emergency. So wanted to let y'all know that's over. We can all go back to our wines and cheeses and continue on as we need to. Now, I want to share this story with you because I think it's really, really neat. Look at this. This is a cool use of the internet. I thought this was amazing. A 15-year-old boy from Canada may have discovered a forgotten Mayan city. William Gadouri of Quebec came up with a theory that the Mayan civilization chose the location of its towns and cities according to its star constellations. He found that Mayan cities, okay, this kid's 15, all right? He found that Mayan cities lined up exactly with stars in the civilization's major constellations. So going on to study the map, he discovered that one city was missing from a constellation of 3 stars. So using satellite images that were provided by the Canadian Space Agency and then mapped onto Google Earth, he discovered the city where the 3rd star of the constellation suggested it would be. Gadouri has named the yet-to-be-explored city in the Yucatan jungle Kakchi, or Mouth of Fire. Daniel Delisle from the Canadian Space Agency said the area had been difficult to study because of its dense vegetation, but satellite scans of the area found linear features that stuck out. There are linear features that would suggest there is something underneath that big canopy, he told The Independent. There are enough items to suggest it could be a man-made structure. This is so cool. Dr. Armand Larocque of the University of New Brunswick said one image showed a street network and a large square that could be a pyramid. Oh my gosh, it's so neat. He told The Independent, quote, "A square is not natural. That's insight right there. It is mostly artificial and can hardly be attributed to natural phenomena. If we add these together, we have a lot of indication that there might be a Mayan city in the area. LaRocque said Gaduri's discovery could lead archaeologists to find other Mayan cities using similar techniques. Gaduri's discovery will be published in a scientific journal, and he will present his findings at Brazil's International Science Fair. No, in 2017. Wait, what? This article is old. This is from 2016. They lied to me. I thought this was a new article. Well, I still think it's cool nonetheless. So let's just chalk this up to a positive use of the internet. This is a positive use of the internet. You know, gosh, where are my fact checkers? Geez, I need more people up in this joint to get me some fact checks. But no, I just think that this is a really, really cool story. And again, what an incredible use of the internet, right? To find a lost city. So now I got to track down that article. Nothing like sending your subscription to Behind the Times newspaper. Thanks, Justin. Good times. All right, so I wanted to share this now with y'all. This has been something that I have really been sort of looking at and not playing with, but just noticing more and more and more in how people argue online. And the Motte and Bailey, it's really what's wrong with political, and look, again, another outdated article. No, it's still happening today, but I think people are becoming more and more aware of what it is. It's really called the Motte and Bailey Doctrine. It was developed by this philosopher. His name was Nicholas Shackle, but it describes a rhetorical move, and I bet Camelia knows what this is. It describes a rhetorical move in which an arguer advances an indefensible opinion, but when challenged, falls back upon a similar yet easier to defend opinion. Motte and Bailey's have become a weapon of choice in political and culture war arguments. So basically how this works is a person puts forth this really big, broad argument, right? And then another person says, well, no, and then the person then will put back a more reasonable argument. So here's an example. A person would say, homeopathic medicine can cure cancer. And then another person might say, well, there's no evidence showing homeopathy is effective. And then the person says, well, actually, there are many ways for people to be healthy besides taking doctor-prescribed drugs. Those are two different arguments, right? So he says here, the person started with a bold and controversial opinion that's hard to defend, but when challenged, they retreat back to an uncontroversial argument that's much easier to defend. Person B would probably agree. Sure, there are many ways to be healthy besides drugs, but then having deflected that first attack, the person A could go right back into arguing for homeopathic medicine. In rhetorical terms, the Bailey is the desired but hard to defend controversial opinion. The Motte is the less desired yet defensible opinion that nearly everyone agrees with, and which the arguer retreats to if unable to defend the Bailey. So the front part here, that the Bailey is that front, town, and that's kind of what they did it. So the reason they named it Motte and Bailey is sort of after these old medieval protective strategies. So you'd have the motte up on the hill, right? And that's easier to protect because there's a wall around it and there's a moat and a castle and all that jazz. But down the Bailey is the thing that's harder to defend, which is like the little town and everything. This happens a lot. We saw a lot of this with like the critical race theory arguments. For example, they'd say, well, we need to do they'd advance a critical race theory argument, right? And then somebody would respond back and say, no, we don't want that Marxism taught in our schools. And then the person would say, well, we should be teaching Black history. You see, that's I don't think anybody's going to be on unless you're a KKK white supremacist. Most normal, rational people would say, yeah, we should teach Black history in schools. But this is how this game is played. And you see this a lot. Motte and Bailey's aren't new, but they are becoming a rhetorical weapon that are being wielded a lot more in political and culture war arguments. So since we're in a culture war, why don't we understand the tactics of the people fighting, right? Then you have some tools. Oh, look at me. Maybe that's my new job. I will teach people how to arm themselves in the cultural war. Actually, no, there's a lot of other people out there in the world that are doing really good jobs about this. Vocal distance. I don't know if you are plugged into the Twitter sphere at all, but there is a great follow that I recommend is Wokal, W-O-K-A-L, Distance. He's brilliant. He just blows me away with how smart he is. He's incredibly intelligent. I just love his stuff, and he teaches me so much about defense in this postmodern, anti-liberal time that we're living in. So example here is in the graphic. It says capitalism must be totally destroyed and replaced with something out of the fever dream of a first-year undergraduate. I love that. Right. And so then obviously when confronted, someone will say, well, capitalism has some unfair outcomes. It's like, well, okay, let's argue that. Another argument might unfold like, well, A, every transgender athlete should be able to compete in whichever gender category they identify with. Well, that's quite a huge argument to make. And then B would say, well, wouldn't that give some athletes an unfair or even dangerous physical advantage? And then a person say, well, transgender people have been discriminated against for far too long. It has to stop. Again, everybody agrees with the Motte. Transgender discrimination should stop. But note how it becomes much easier to advance the Bailey when the Motte is a sensitive moral claim that's rightly taboo to disagree with. You might have good arguments against the Bailey, but if it's tied to a sensitive Motte, you might decide it's not even worth challenging. After all, it can be costly to your reputation to even look like you're challenging a sensitive Motte, even if you're actually questioning the Bailey in good faith. You can see this play out in political arguments. For example, a Trump supporter might argue for unprecedentedly harsh immigration policies. That's the Bailey. If someone challenges that position, the Trump supporter could shame them for being unpatriotic, considering immigration reform as part of the Make America Great Again platform. And who doesn't want to make America great? There's the Motte, right? Similarly, some might question Black Lives Matter's goal of disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement, which is the Bailey. They might get a reply like, what, are you trying to argue that Black lives don't matter? Which is the Motte. So I really, really want y'all to see these games that are being played and know how to divert around them and not win them necessarily, but at least know when you're getting played into a situation and see this, because the more you interact, I think, in the online world, the more you're going to see that this is becoming more and more enmeshed in how we're all talking to each other and how we're making arguments. So I just want you all to have that information. I want you to be able to know about this stuff so you can be forewarned is forearmed. That's what I think my grandma used to say. So yeah, I just think that this is an incredibly important topic to have. And again, on this topic, this is another great website that I absolutely love. It's called All Sides. Maybe back a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, when I was having my deconversion moment, I was like, I need news sources from like a variety of places. I'm really worried about bias. This was something that for me that was coming out a lot in terms of like trying to find the truth. Here's the deal. Here's some short TLDR on Justin. I really care about truth. I really do. And I don't really necessarily care whose mouth it comes out of, because to me, truth is truth, and I'm in the pursuit of truth. So I feel like when people are joining hands and saying, we want what's true, we want to know what's true, those are my allies, right? If you're a truth seeker, you're my friend. You know, you're my friend. If you're a person who wants to obscure truth, if you're a person who wants to mask or hide things, you're probably not going to be in my team, because I think that's deceptive and I really do want truth. And so I found this great website. It's called All Sides, and it comes with a little Chrome extension. So when you go into a particular website, you can see, sort of where the bias is on that website, which I find really valuable. So when I'm reading something, I can kind of say, oh, look, it's already kind of been scribed. Now, this essay here I thought was really good. It just talks about 4 types of truth, depending on what we're talking about. The first is objective truth, so here's the 4 types of truth. What can be proven physically? For example, like the sky is blue. Where fact is anything that can be tested, objective truth is the recognition. Normative truth is what a collective group agrees is true. For example, a tree is a tree because that's what we decide to call it, right? So these are where words right now in our dialectic are beginning to be shifted. And so that's why the truth is getting more and more nebulous. Normative truth can change between different cultures, geographic regions, religions, and groups of individuals. The third kind of truth is subjective truth, which is based on one's interpretation of facts or experiences. So this is where we get into the language of like my truth or lived experience, which always cracks me up. Why don't we just call it experience? Because were you dead when you had it? Were you dead when you had the experience? No, you were alive. So let's just dispense with lived and call it just experience. So for example, like the dress illusion. I don't know, remember, like, is the dress blue? Is the dress gold? And there was that big controversy a couple of years ago. Silly, but it sort of points up that sort of subjective experience. It's also, but again, we can always figure out what, the answer is, because we can do investigation. And then the last method of finding truth is complex truth, and it's the application of any of the previous three. So what can we do to sort of fight the politicization of information and have conversations across our different understandings? The first thing is to research information for yourself. Well, this gets so many people in trouble, but listen, I always like to joke. I'm from Missouri. My dad used to always say, I'm from the show me state, so you got to show me. So I think I sort of inherited some of that Missouri skepticism, which is not a bad thing. Research things yourself before you share anything on social media. Do double check. Hey, I would have checked that the article that I just read about the Mayan village was in 2017, but I was so excited about the content, I just didn't look at the date. But it's still true. See what I did there? People online are usually going to share facts or sound bites and things out of context. And so just be conscious of what you're sharing so that you're not mistakenly leading someone into like a false information or something like that. Number 2 is expand your news diet. This is so important. Since I've been doing this show this week, I've been going all over the place. I told Austin before he left, I said, you got to send me really, really good resources and different things. So he sent me a bunch of websites and different things to kind of use. But yeah, I really do love having a broad news diet. And the reason I like this site so much is it does kind of codify things into like center, middle, or center, right, left. So I think that's kind of cool to just sort of parse out where things are. They also have a bias chart, which, obviously you could look at that and people go, that's not true. They're so far left, it's crazy. Or they say, oh, that's so far right. So obviously, they're probably trying to do the best they can with this, because I know there's certain, the fact checkers, we know this thing about fact checkers, right? They are not so much fact checkers, sadly. And then 3, except when the extent of your knowledge ends, and you start making assumptions based on your perspective. We can speculate, this is again, being aware of your bias, right? Being aware of how you might be biased. We can speculate over pieces of information as long as we want, but sometimes we just don't know the whole story. And it's okay to admit that we don't know all the facts, even in a culture that wants us to have an opinion on everything. There's a great Stoic philosopher, I wish I could remember which one, who said, sometimes it's okay not to have an opinion on something. I thought, not in 2023, it's not. You've got to have an opinion about everything. But I thought that was a really great Stoic reminder that, you know what, you can look at something and go, I have no opinion on this, and that's okay. And then finally, have conversations with people that you disagree with. Gaining different perspectives is necessary to fight the politicization of truth and understand the broader picture, even if you don't agree with their point of view. Listen, I love a good debate. I love a good debate. I love to see people interact with ideas and work them out. Again, as long as they play fair and they're not doing ad hominems and they're not getting ugly. I think every time I watch a debate, I don't know about if you guys are into them, but every time I watch a really good debate, I always feel like I walk away smarter. I always feel like I've gotten smarter watching people work out ideas in front of me. Whether, that's debates about religion or debates about political ideologies or philosophies. I just always come away feeling like, wow, I feel like I learned. I grew today. I grew intellectually. So I love that. And some of, how are we doing on time? Oh, 8:49. Okay. So I just wanted to close out. Let's see if I got one little more story for you. Oh, here's some good news. Okay, cool. This just came out today. This is, the FDA approved the first over-the-counter drug for opioid overdose reversal. The first ever over-the-counter version of the opioid overdose reversal drug, Naxalone, was approved by the Food and Drug Administration Wednesday, which was yesterday, in a move that could dramatically increase access to a life-saving medication. And listen, we all know that the fentanyl and the opioid crisis in this country is absolutely devastating. Devastating. It's devastating small-town America. I went home, I think when was I home? September? And we drove through, I is learning good the English language. We drove through a town that absolutely I loved as a kid, and it has become so depressed because of drug use. Seeing that we can have some people can have access to something to prevent overdoses, to me, I think is a really, really good a good thing. So here's your little bright spot of happy in the day. The people who need this drug the most are the least likely to go to a pharmacy and request it, mainly because of the stigma around drug use. The cost of the medication, requirements to show ID, and the overall stigma of asking for Nexolone are all barriers. Additionally, some pharmacists may not be aware that there's a standing order in their state and refuse to prescribe the drug altogether. Let's see. We encourage the manufacturer to make accessibility to the product a priority by making it available as soon as possible at an affordable price. So, yeah, I'm really hoping that this is going to be helpful for people who need access to this life-saving medication because, life matters, right? Being able to live matters, and I hope that this will help people. This is my little good spot of the news. Gosh, okay, let's see. Okay, I'm trying to just see what I have. Oh, Beethoven. You know what? We're going to get a little Beethoven up in here. So this article I thought was really cool. DNA analysis of Beethoven's hair reveals new clues about his death. A paper, let's date this article. Oh, we're safe, March 23, 2023. This isn't from 1942. Ludwig van Beethoven, if you don't know him, you do. Dun 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 dun. Or the Moonlight Sonata. Boom 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 bum bum bum. Y'all know some Moonlight Sonata, and if you don't, put that on your playlist for your drive into work this morning. He was really kind of one of music's first rock stars, but a paper that was published in Current Biology looked at locks of his hair, which have survived through history in the hands of a private collector. Now, don't get me started about this stuff because, oh my gosh, y'all, if you want a really fascinating book, I love a book. I'm gonna get you another book review here at the end of the hour here. I am obsessed with this book called The Lost King of France. If you want to read something that's like history, science, DNA, forensic files, oh, it is so good. The Lost King of France. It talks about the son of Louis, the King of France, who was obviously beheaded in the French Revolution, and the son of Marie Antoinette as well, and what happened to him after the revolution. Oh, it's so good. And sort of they find his heart, and is it his heart? It's literally like the Da Vinci Code, but real. So if you ever want to read an amazing book, The Lost King of France, it is so good. All right, so anyway, the hope was that this genetic analysis for Beethoven might provide some clues about his health struggles. Beethoven suffered from hearing loss, which we know that got worse later in life. And so using 5 hair samples confirmed to be from Beethoven, scientists examined his DNA for possible disease markers. A total of 10 feet of hair was examined. Beethoven's got some long hair. How did they manage to get, unless they had maybe one strand at a time or something, and then they laid them end to end? Because I know we used to think classical music was called long-haired music. I don't know if you've ever heard that expression. It used to be a term that I think came from Franz Liszt in the 19th century, for people that were very, very, high intellectual, high artistic taste. They would always have really long hair, so they called that long hair music, which is so funny because then we have big hair music in the 80s, right, with the rock bands. It wasn't new. Everything old is new again. So they discovered that Beethoven had genetic risk factors for liver disease as well as hepatitis B. He did have a hepatitis B infection, which were probably likely factors in his demise. Beethoven was said to also be a heavy drinker, but nothing really was found that could explain his hearing loss because he did go deaf by 48. Nor was there any indication what could have caused his stomach issues, although lactose intolerance and celiac disease were ruled out. And before he died, Beethoven did plead with his family to have doctors try to determine the cause of his health issues. So we'll still need to do some more research on this to find out more information, but I thought this was, again, really, really cool. All right, Beethoven drank his liver to death. Facts. Yay! Camelia found my quote! She found my quote! We have the power to hold no opinion about a thing and to not let it upset our state of mind, for things have no natural power to shape our judgment. Marcus Aurelius. Y'all want to read another great book? Read the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. They are so amazing. I mean, really, everybody should read Marcus Aurelius. It's such good stuff. You know, I guess I just am a Renaissance man. I want to go back to times where people like read really great literature, listened to really great music, read really great books, sat in cafes and had really cool conversations. Maybe that's a little bit about what the AP for Liberty show is up in here on this Wake Up America show. You know, we're trying to maybe get something a little bit more Renaissance, if you will. Having good conversations, having good debates. I think that's what we need in our culture. Awesome. So the last thing that I wanted to share with you is my book recommendation, which I've already given you quite a few today, but sort of closing out here, I want to give you this great book that I've loved reading, which is How to Have Impossible Conversations. Let me get to the front so you can see the cover. Make sure that's being covered. There we go. Yeah, it's a very practical guide, and it is written by Peter Boghossian and James Lindsay. Sorry, Camellia, it's written by James Lindsay, but I do think that Peter Boghossian is the main writer on this. The book is actually so well done. Let me see if I can find an example of the table of contents. What I really, really like is that, let me see if I can find a, yeah, so they give you different levels here of the book. So they talk about 7 fundamentals of a good conversation, and then like what is a beginner level, what's an intermediate level, and then what's advanced skills. And I kind of like that because you can sort of build on conversational skills as you go. If you ever want to have an impossible conversation, this is kind of a good kickoff book to use. It's really, really, really good. So yeah, get this book. It's so good. And I've used this a lot actually, and I find this has been very, very helpful to me. Because of the political time we live in, the advanced skills have been very, very helpful to me to sort of keep the simmering, rage at bay. And also too, Peter does these things called street epistemology, where he'll go out in the street and ask people maybe a rather controversial question and then ask them to place themselves on a matrix of where they agree or disagree and then sort of justify their opinions. It is my favorite thing to watch people kind of not struggle, but figure out why they believe what they believe, right? Which is called epistemology. How do we know what we know? And seeing people kind of work through why they believe what they believe and how they believe it, and then change their opinion. It's such a cool thing. So check out Peter Boghossian. He's awesome. And he does a lot of really cool, he's actually in Europe now, I think, doing a lot of this street epistemology as well on his YouTube channel. So check him out if you're into like watching people think. I love to watch people think, and I love to watch people debate and talk about things. So anyway, yeah, this has been a show, y'all. This has been a show. I am really so glad that you have joined me today. This hour went fast. You know, I always am concerned that when I'm filling up the show the night before, I'm like, am I gonna do this? Am I gonna fill this up? Am I gonna have to talk about like, am I gonna just have to tap dance all hour or sing some songs to keep you guys happy in the morning? But yeah, no, it's good. It's been really a lot of fun. And so tomorrow will be my last day here with y'all. It's been a blast. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to try to keep things a little bit lighter on Friday, see if I can find a little bit more lighter fare for you. And I'm looking forward to it. It's always like, gosh, I got to fill these hours. What am I going to do? So I have much sympathy for Austin when he does this. So anyway, I love seeing y'all, and thank you so much for being here today. This has been a real trip, and hope y'all found it helpful. And I will look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Make sure you visit the AP for Liberty shop. Click like and subscribe. I saw there was a baby. Someone told me this, that their child had watched so many YouTube videos that she thought that that's how you said goodbye. So the baby would like wave and go, like and subscribe. So I'll tell you that. Like and subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great Thursday. Enjoy your week. I'm going to go see if I can get some extra hours from the insomnia that robbed me last night. So have a great day. I will see you very, very shortly. And have a good day. Rest in liberty. I'll talk to you soon.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today.
Fire.
Your printing company stinks. They charge you too much money and they don't love America enough. We've got the solution. Patriot Printing USA. Whether you're running for office, saving souls, or just need business cards that will get you the new job you've been looking for, Patriot Printing USA has got you covered with the best prices around. Palm cards, brochures, bumper stickers, door hangers, you name it, we've got it. PatriotPrintingUSA.com. That's PatriotPrintingUSA.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.